Isn't Sabbath something that only privileged people can engage in? And I was a little taken aback by that question because I knew the history of Sabbath, but it did cast me right back into the scriptures to say, is this privilege? Are we saying that only privileged people can practice Sabbath? People who have a salaried position, people who have economic security and aren't working 3 jobs. Is this something about privilege? But, clearly it's not, from its origins in the Old Testament, that the Sabbath was given originally to an oppressed peoples who had nothing. And they didn't even have their own personal freedom to live their lives on their own terms. So we have to stay connected with God's intention with the Sabbath and with the original giving of the Sabbath. It's really, really important that we do that because God's original intention was to give the Sabbath as a sign, symbol, and reality, a lived reality of the Israelites' freedom now to live on God's own terms for them. So there's a part of the Sabbath that's very deeply about not being in bondage and experiencing freedom from whatever kind of bondage we're in. And we're certainly in bondage to our culture. A lot of cultural dynamics right now we're in bondage to. We're in bondage to workaholism. We're in bondage to identifying ourselves with our work and our roles and our productivity. We are in bondage to technology. Most of us have our technology strapped to our bodies. It's terrible. So I think that this application of Sabbath as resistance or Sabbath as liberation from oppression is a really significant aspect of Sabbath. There's kind of an edginess to it. It's kind of an edge, a harder edge versus the softness of resting.